Hot like 100. Hello.
Loading, strike with the lyrics like I'm bowling. Keep pushing on, keep rolling. I don't wanna listen, but I told him one more time, your favorite.
Oh my days. Hello, hi. My God, it's been a long time, people. I'm so sorry that it's taken me so long to get back recording again. Let's just say I had technical difficulties, or let's just say personal problems that might actually become a show later on Truth is Truth. But today we're going to go back over something that I promised you I would have done ages ago. But please accept my apologies, like I said. We're going to speak about this man. Yes, P.Diddy. My God. Last year, I promised you a show. I started it, and then halfway through, I had to stop because the internet was bugging out. And I promised I would do the show the next day, and I just haven't. So you know what, guys? Here's the show that I promised you so long ago, many moons ago. And we're going to do it slightly differently. What we're going to do is we're going to watch Surviving P.Diddy, a documentary that I found on YouTube, and then we're going to have a call-in show probably tomorrow, and then we can go through everything that we've watched here. If you watched this video, then you can join me for the phone call, the call-in show, and then we can discuss everything that we've gone through. So yeah, guys, look, let me just tell you, I started watching it, and then I was like, let me stop watching it right now because I really want to go through it with you guys, the audience, and just have your thoughts and have you guys tell me what you think about it as well, because this is one of those documentaries that really opens your eyes about certain things that we already had suspicions about, but we haven't really had this level of detail and people looking into it. And, you know, when you add things all up, I mean, a lot of things make sense. But yeah, let's stop talking about it and actually let's start watching it, because I really want to have your opinions on this more than anything else. And once again, guys, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And yeah, I'm still on the road to 100, so please, let's try and get there. Yeah, but without further ado, let's try and get into this video now. Let's go. Let's remove this. All right.
What he's being known for with Cassie, I can only equate to some of the things that I've seen him and Kim go through.
Years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
See? I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the frosted flakes because he used to always get it early. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world.
Yo, what the did Puff just say?
Kim is dead. Heavy D is dead.
Yeah.
Andre Harrell is dead. The only two left are Puffy and Al almost died. Isn't that interesting?
There's no way this man should be getting an icon award when all he has done was destroy the people around him.
Sean was in elementary school when his father passed away, and his mother always told him that it was a car crash. Her idea was to shelter him from all things bad, and she even moved him into the suburbs. So in the 6th grade, the family moved to the city of Mount Vernon, and Sean attended a private Montessori school. In many cases, going from inner city to a private school can be a struggle, but not for a young Sean Combs. He was highly intelligent and charismatic, an instant leader amongst boys. So Sean spent the rest of his adolescence in Mount Vernon, thriving amongst his wealthier classmates.
Whoa, 1 second. Looking at that picture of P. Diddy back then, don't you think he looks like that guy that he used to have hanging around with him all the time, his butler? He looks like that guy. Can't remember his name. Bentley, wasn't it Bentley or something like that? Don't you think he looks just like him? But anyway, we shall continue.
After high school, his good grades led him to the prestigious Howard University. All he had to do was wait patiently for his first major opportunity. For him, this would come rather early. In fact, it was in 1989 after his freshman year. While home in Mount Vernon, he linked up with a good childhood friend named Dwight Myers, also known as Heavy D. Growing up, Heavy D was like a big brother to Sean, a mentor in many ways. Well, Heavy was a talented rapper, and by 1989, he signed a major deal with Uptown Records. So over the summer, he introduced his friend Sean to the owner of Uptown Records, a respected mogul by the name of Andre Harrell. Right off the bat, Andre took a special liking to a young Sean Combs, like an oddly special liking. I guess he saw major potential in him because he decided to give him a major opportunity right away. So in the summer of 1989, Sean was hired as an intern at Uptown Records. Over the summer, Sean spent countless hours in the studio and in meetings with major artists from around the country. It was truly a dream come true for a freshman in college, something that's pretty much unheard of. Well, the fall comes around and Sean has to return to campus in DC. Andre didn't want him to go and tried to convince him to drop out and stay with the label, but Sean's mother was not having it. So together they came to a compromise. Twice a week, Sean would take the train from DC to New York to be at the Uptown office. This was 4 hours each way, meaning that Sean spent a total of 16 hours a week just to remain an intern at Uptown. This really didn't make any sense. What could he bring to the table that required him to do all of this hassle? Well, you might find out in just a second, so hold on. This crazy lifestyle continued.
No, we're gonna pause that and we're gonna go back and look at this picture right here. Yeah. Now, let me just say this before I start talking on this subject, right? I have nothing against gay people, right? But you shouldn't hide it if you are. That's all I'm saying, yeah? Be proud of who you are and speak on your truth, okay? Like the show's title, Truth is Truth. Look at how he has got his arm around this man. I'm not being funny, guys, but I don't sit around any of my boys like this. Yeah, none of my boys. You could be closer than, like, we could be brothers. Blood. Listen, my blood brother. I don't sit with him like that. Who sits in a chair with a man like that unless you're feeling him? That's how you sit with your girl. But anyway, I digress. Let us continue. Boy.
A week just to remain an intern at Uptown. This really didn't make any sense. What could he bring to the table that required him to do all of this hassle? Well, you might find out in just a second, so hold on. This crazy lifestyle continued for a few months until Andre Harrell put his foot down. He offered him a full-time job at the label if he would drop out of Howard and return back to New York. Sean accepted it and it worked out extremely well. This is because at just 20 years old, Sean was promoted to the vice president of the label. Whoa, now we're all thinking the same thing, aren't we? Why in the world would Andre Harrell promote a 20-year-old to the vice president of his label? The music industry is one of the hardest to crack, and for most it takes decades to get this position.
Why indeed? Why indeed?
So how did Sean Combs really get this job so young? So again, this begs the same question. How did Andre get this position at such a young age? Well, according to Sean's former assistant, it's all a power dynamic with Clive Davis at the top. The insinuation is that the boss takes advantage of a young intern and will pay them back later on.
He loves the ability to manipulate and control people. Why? Most likely because he was victimized by his mentor, who loved to control people.
And his mentor was
Andre Harrell.
Tell us how
who was
he
mentored by Clive Davis.
Don't tell me that Andre Harrell got by Clive Davis too. Don't tell me that Andre Harrell got by Clive Davis too.
Regardless of the truth, stories like these have always been rumored in entertainment. Essentially, you get taken advantage of by those in power, and that's how you make it in your industry. Then the idea is that over time, the former victims become the perpetrators. Now, of course, these are all just rumors, but Jaguar does get more specific. When Sean was hired At Uptown, Andre Harrell had a personal assistant named Kim Porter, and the rumor states that she caught Sean doing special favors for Andre.
But then again, you know, you had it in for Andre because Andre used to make you and Kim Porter had footage of it. And Kim Porter had footage of it.
And Kim Porter is not with us anymore. You know what I mean? It's funny how people just end up going anyway. Let me know.
The rumors have never proven to be true, but they will be important later on. Well, make of all that what you want, but the fact is that Sean's career took off from here. It's the fall of 1992, and Biggie completes his first album to be released. The debut album is called Ready to Die, and both him and Sean feel very strongly about the project. But there's a major problem in the way. Uptown's parent company refuses to release the album. They expressed that the album was not to their liking and contained too many explicit lyrics. As you would expect, Sean was upset and so was Biggie. Sean did not respond well to the decision, and because of this, he was fired from Uptown Records in late 1992. This was devastating, but Andre Harrell had his back no matter what.
Final straw for me was when MCA wanted me to not put out the Biggie Smalls album because they didn't like the subject matter, and they wanted me to tell him he's got to change his tone. And it wasn't up to me, I felt, to tell a generation what they could and could not do artistically. So I knew it wasn't going to work because he was coming from a new space and a new era. And Biggie Smalls was more like in the streets and telling street stories. And he told them, well, I'm really letting you go so you could get rich. I'm really letting you go so you could get rich.
But was this really the case, or was something else at play? Puff had just gotten fired from his dream job at the age of 23. Most people would be devastated, but Sean fell right back on his feet. Just a month after being fired, Sean started his own label called Bad Boy Records. Obviously, the 23-year-old didn't have the pockets to fund it himself, so it was initially a partnership with Arista Records. Wait, let's get this straight. So Sean was fired by Uptown and then given his own label by Uptown's bosses. How does that make sense? Well, it's possible that Jaguar Wright was correct.
Andre Harrell and gave you the keys to the kingdom. Andre was in line.
So again, here's the idea. Andre Harrell had to do special favors for Clive Davis in order to be hired and then get his own label. And once Andre established his label, he repeated the same cycle on Sean Combs. But for former Uptown singer and assistant Jaguar Wright, she believes that Clive Davis was in on it as well. I guess her idea is that Sean did things for Andre in order to be hired, and then he did things for Clive in order to climb the ranks. And being that Clive is above both of them, he had the authority to give Sean his own label.
Andre got passed over. Like, how do you go from being the president of Uptown and losing your entire company to your intern? Like, Puff started out as an intern.
And that's because you know Clive Davis, and we all know he has lots of secrets. Clearly, he trusts you. He stepped around Andre Harrell and gave you the keys to the kingdom. Andre was in line.
If the rumored power dynamic is true, then Clive Davis did replace Andre Harrell with Sean Combs, meaning that now, instead of Andre, it was Sean doing special favors for Clive. And as a reward, Clive made Andre drop him from Uptown and gave him his own label. Of course, though, this is all silly speculation. But what's not speculation is that Uptown's artists were released from their contracts and were able to sign with Bad Boy Records. This way, Sean now had full control over Biggie and Craig Mack. Well, after starting Bad Boy, Sean started going by the alias Puff Daddy. This is a name given to him by his mom because when he was a kid, he used to huff and puff whenever he was mad. So now we enter the era of Puff Daddy and Bad Boy Records. Puff's Bad Boy released their first album in July of 1994, which was Craig Mack's Flavor in Your Ear. The album took off to immediate success, and this is how Bad Boy entered the industry. Then just 2 months later, Biggie's debut album Ready to Die released as well. Both albums did well and Puff was eager to keep it going. So just 2 weeks after Biggie's album, Bad Boy released Craig Mack's second album Funk the World. Puffy couldn't miss, and he was eager to recruit more and more new artists. He was becoming so respected in the industry that other moguls were coming to him for advice. And that takes us down to Atlanta, Georgia. In 1992, music mogul L.A. Reid discovered a 12-year-old singer named Usher Raymond. While watching him perform at a local talent show, he saw some Michael Jackson in him. He was so impressed that he signed him to his label LaFace Records at just 13 years old. Interestingly enough, LaFace Records was under the Arista umbrella. Just keep that in mind. Well, the story goes that in order to prep Usher for his music career, he was sent to go live with none other than Puff Daddy. So at 14 years old, Usher was sent to live with Puffy full-time, something known as Puffy's Flavor Camp. I guess the idea was for Puffy to mentor him and send him down the right path. But according to Usher, there was a lot more going on than just that.
I moved to New York City. And I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor
some...
Camp?
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans,
your parents
Jodeci,
were
Mary J.
okay?
Blige. They didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time. You know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 a.m. with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem. I had like,
What
like
a
living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
See?
Many people out there believe that Usher was Puffy's first victim of the power ritual. There's no proof to show that, but these clips may convince you that something strange was going on.
I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the frosted flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
What the fuck did Puff just say?
Exactly.
Nobody's putting acknowledge this for me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the frosted flakes, and we're streaming live. That was stupid.
Look at his face. Look at his face. The guilt on his face. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. No, we got to go back for that. If you just check out Puffy's face when he realizes what my man is saying, yeah. Oh my God, why can't I remember his name right now? But either way, yeah. Look at P.Diddy's face. Look at his face. It's crazy. You can see the guilt just oozing out of him, yeah. He grabbed him to tell him to shut up. Shut up. Yeah. Why tell me to shut up for? I'm just cracking jokes about what you're talking about. Yeah. You exposed yourself. You had a little bit too much to drink that night, didn't you, Diddy? Hear that again anyway. Let's hear that again.
Many people out there believe that Usher was Puffy's first victim of the power ritual. There's no proof to show that, but these clips may convince you that something strange was going on.
I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the frosted flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
Bro, if I walked in, imagine you sent your kid away to some camp or something, right? He's talking about 10 years old. So he wasn't even sent up there at 10 years old. Why is he with him at 10 years old anyway, in the morning? Yeah. wrestling over Frosted Flakes. So maybe you got your timeline mixed up. You know, maybe he was talking about when he was 14, yeah? Maybe he was just having some sort of fantasy there. But anyway, let's not even go there. The fact of the matter is, yeah, why are you wrestling with some young... Imagine if you walked in on that. P.Diddy, Usher, at the age of 14 or 10, wrestling in their pajamas or whatever they slept in over cornflakes. Bro, anyway, just let that sink in for a minute, yeah? Let's continue.
Yo, what the fuck?
And look at how he's looking at him right here, yeah? He holds people very, very... Anyway, the way he embraces men, look at this. Look at this. Just look at the look on P. Diddy's face as well when he realizes what Kevin Hart is saying, yeah? That's why he grabs him. Oh, man. The evidence is there, but anyway.
What did Puff just say? Nobody's going to acknowledge this but me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes, and we're streaming live. That was stupid.
Shut up, man. Yeah. That was stupid. And we're
So
streaming
what do
live.
you guys think? Is Usher a part of surviving Diddy, or is this just a silly assumption?
100%.
Well, now we move on to the next chapter. Regardless of all the nonsense, Puff was truly a genius at discovering and developing artists, and in the process he was gaining immense wealth and power in the industry. As you would expect, this success got to his head pretty quickly. By many accounts, Puff grew an obsession with having complete control. He wanted control over everyone around him, even for the silliest things. So here is the first example. The year is 1995 and Craig Mack is eager to continue his success, so he puts together his third studio album, one by the name of Operation Get Down. The story goes that he brings the album to Puff to get it released, but things don't go as planned. Puff allegedly tells Craig Mack that if he wants the album released, he has to fire his manager and then hire a bad boy manager. But Craig's manager is one of his closest friends and has been rocking with him since day one. Because of this, Craig is loyal to him and tells Puffy no. Even though it's a silly request, Puffy is pissed because he doesn't have control over the situation.
Puff told Craig Mack if he didn't change management, he wasn't with him no more. Craig wasn't getting rid of his management. Craig said, yo, listen here, man, I'm not changing my manager just because you want to. Puff said, yo, I ain't that kid no more. Not at all. I was right there when he said that. Told Craig Mack, you don't change your management, I ain't fucking with you.
Craig stands on his principles and refuses to fire his manager, so Puffy decides to be petty. He completely stops paying him and refuses to release his music. This made things awkward at Bad Boy, as Craig no longer had the power to control his career or his narrative. In this 1995 interview, you can see the awkwardness on full display. Like, Craig Mack could not believe that Diddy would really lie on camera like that.
I'm sure you got much things in store for my man.
Yeah, definitely. We got a new album we're working on him to drop in January. We got a new album we're working on him to drop in January.
You can see the disbelief in Craig Mack's face, like, no way he's saying this. From here, frustrations grew further between Bad Boy and Craig, as Craig felt betrayed by his boss. I was your first artist. I was the one who took the risk and signed to your label. And more importantly, I've made you a whole lot of money. And now you're willing to throw away my career over a silly manager. What is going on? But not only did Puff want his career to dwindle, it's also rumored that he wanted him killed. Craig knew what Puff was capable of, so everywhere he went, he rolled around with a blicky, something very risky in New York City. He even contemplated getting rid of Puff in order to save his own life.
I had a gun in my lap.
Bam! Craig Mack did not age well. Wow. Wow. Look, wow. He can't be that old either. I wonder how old Craig Mack is. Wow, bro, he did not age well.
Craig knew what Puff was capable of, so everywhere
He was
he
never the
went, he
prettiest
rolled around
size
with a
anyway,
blicky,
but
something
Jesus.
very risky in New York City. He even contemplated getting rid of Puff in order to save his own life.
I had a gun in my lap. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking to God. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do this. But if it comes to getting ugly where somebody's trying to kill me, I'm going to have to do something first or do something to prevent that from happening.
In what world should an artist have to fear for his life because his own boss wants to harm him? Well, Craig says that Puff tried to set him up at the studio, but when he showed up with certified goons, he decided to back off. So thankfully, the situation didn't end terribly, but it was the start of a new era for Puffy. Not only had he become a control freak, but now he was bringing the threat of violence to the table. Slowly, the golden child of the industry was becoming the villain behind closed doors. September 23rd, 1995. Here we are in beautiful, well, not at the time, but here we are in Atlanta, Georgia for Jermaine Dupri's birthday celebration at the Platinum House nightclub. Here, much of the rap industry will be in attendance by midnight. Early in the night, though, it's just the Bad Boy crew and associates hanging in the club before it opens. This would, of course, be Puffy, his bodyguard Wolf, Too Short, Dallas Austin, and plenty more. So they're all chilling in the club, and a couple of hours go by. And this is when they receive some unexpected visitors. At 10 p.m., the Death Row crew arrive at the Platinum House parking lot. First, a Death Row associate named Big Jake walks in the club to scope it out. He then looks around and sees Puff Daddy and Jermaine Dupri sitting at a table in the corner. He instantly walks back to the parking lot to tell Suge where they are. Then together, the massive duo walk into the club headed for Puffy. They walk straight up to the table, and that's when Suge Knight slaps Jermaine Dupri directly across the face. This is simply to get to Puffy, who's standing right behind him. Suge.
I'm not being funny, yeah, but you see the way they did these pictures, yeah? How big he is compared to how small these pictures are. That's probably how small Jermaine Dupri is compared to Suge Knight. When he slapped him, he must have flew across the room like a dolly. Like he just threw a wet dish rag. That slap must have hurt. Oh, God. He's like twice the size of him. 3 times the size of him.
Then grabs Puff by his arm and brings him in. He begins yelling at Puff, but that's when Wolf gets in between them. The duo walk into the club headed for Puffy. They walk straight up to the table, and that's when Suge Knight slaps Jermaine Dupri directly across the face. This is simply to get to Puffy, who's standing right behind him. Suge then grabs Puff by his arm and brings him in. He begins yelling at Puff, but that's when Wolf gets in between them. He tells Suge it's not going to go down like that. So it turns into a brawl, and they're all escorted out of the club. After all this, Suge and Puff actually hug it out and squash the beef. But then out of nowhere, shots go off across the street. So they all duck down and look over to see what's going on. All it is a man across the street shooting his gun into the air. But while everyone is distracted, a man walks right behind Big Jake.
We own the club, the Platinum House. I had been at Jermaine Dupri's party and I seen Jake, and he was looking for Puff and they was looking for Jermaine and them there. And I didn't see them at their own party. Jermaine Dupri, his security, Puff with Wolf. And Jake looks in and see these guys. Suge came back. Boom, 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 boom. He came right in and slapped the shit out of Jermaine Dupri. Bah! And Puff was standing right there, and he snatched Puff with one hand. Suge had him with one hand and was shaking him. Then Wolf reached over and grabbed him. Shit ain't going down like this no more. Standing there, Suge's in front of with Puff. They walked to the limo. All of a sudden, somebody started shooting across the street. And I could see this dude just busting. Pop, 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 pop. They were called the play for the overlay. They started shooting across the street to make everybody look. We looked. The dude came out of nowhere and just touched Jake. And Jake was about 400 pounds.
Big Jake was Suge's best friend and Death Row's security wherever they went. So this loss was devastating to Death Row, but they had no idea who did it. But then a few days later, 3 witnesses reported that Puff's bodyguard Wolf was the assailant. Whoa, did Puff's bodyguard take out Suge Knight's best friend? Well, about a week later, Wolf was arrested for the incident. So does this mean that Puff ordered the hit of Suge Knight's best friend? Death Row definitely assumes so, but Wolf was able to beat his case about a year later. In the meantime, though, the beef was up. With Tupac shot and now Big J killed, Death Row was looking at Puffy like an absolute menace. And coincidentally, not too long after the loss of Big Jake, Tupac was released from Rikers Island. As soon as he got back to LA, he hopped in the studio and recorded Hit 'Em Up. One, if not the most disrespectful song in rap history. He dissed
The
Biggie by
best.
saying that he smashed his girl and pretty much obliterated the whole bad boy camp.
You guys have never heard Hit 'em Up, which you'd be like, must be living on the rock if you've never heard Hit 'em Up. And if you're watching this story, you must have heard Hit 'em Up. It is by far the best diss track ever made, in my opinion, anyway.
As you would expect, Puffy was pissed. But at this time, he felt invincible, so he decided to do the unthinkable. He decided to schedule a bad boy tour on the West Coast from Seattle down to San Diego. However, he knew that the tour was a risk, so he decided to tap in with his best connection in LA. This would be a man named P.Diddy, who he met at a hydraulic shop in Compton. Essentially, in 1994, Puff asked Keefe if he could borrow one of his cars for a video, and they locked in from there. He took Keefe out to dinner on the Sunset Strip. And there, according to Keefe, Puff offered him $1 million to get rid of Pac.
He and Puffy are at this place called Greenblatt's Deli on Sunset. And he tells Keefe D, man, I just need you to take care of this situation with Suge and Tupac.
Keefe, he's claiming that Puffy offered him $1 million to kill Suge or Tupac.
Both of them. Yeah, both their names came up.
$1 million in 1995 is equivalent to over $2 million today. And to a Compton Crip who's probably broke, this is life-changing money. If this is actually true, then Puff is a cold man. Because there's no way in the world that any gang member would ever turn this down. And Puffy knew this. It was only a matter of time. Well, here is where things get juicy. Damn, that was corny. Right after the news broke, Keefe D recalls getting a call from Puffy. He claims that Puff asked him, was that us, and promised him the $1 million reward.
You said that Puffy called and said, was that us?
Because Puffy called too, right? Yeah, him and Biggie's wife. What's her name? Faith. Yeah. So tell me about that.
You're just self-snitching.
He just asked, was that us? Who said that? Puff did.
Now it's time for Puff to pay up. He allegedly sends $1 million check to Zip and tells him to wire it to Keefe.
Zip had a check in his right pocket, right back pocket, and that check was for $1 million.
Now, all that needs to happen is for Zip to deliver it to Keefe, and his life is changed forever. But did you guys think that that would actually happen?
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as well.
They said Zip's a dirty. Everybody cross you.
You guys never got any money?
Never.
For anything?
Nothing. Not even a pair of Sean John drawers.
Now listen, it may be true that Flip took that money, but I'm telling you right now, Puffy never, ever, ever was going to give you that money. Yeah? He was never going to give you that money. Even if Puffy did orchestrate this, he was never going to give you them peas. That's blatantly obvious. Why would he implicate himself with something with his name on it going to you for that kind of... It would just be very suspicious. It would have had to do it a whole different way if that was the case. Yeah? Wiring you $1 million for what? But anyway, let's go on.
Man, what was Puff thinking? It's almost like he orchestrated this.
But he never gave the money to him.
But thank God he never gave him the money, right? Think about it. If he gave the money, Puffy will be in prison now, money for hire.
You know, Eric Von Zip keeping the money kind of shielded everyone from the situation in
so he's a savior
type of way.
According to the FBI, because Zip didn't give the money to Keefe, Puffy dodged prison. But here's my question. Is Puff really responsible for what happened to Tupac? Yes, he did offer the $1 million, but it was Tupac jumping Orlando Anderson that really caused the situation, right? Well, Keefe disagrees, as he thinks that Puff is to blame.
If I wouldn't have never met him, I wouldn't have never been involved in this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, man. So you feel like Puffy, he's the reason for your empire and Suge empire going down because of the whole situation with Tupac.
Exactly. He the only one still balling because he pitted us against each other, it seemed like.
But what do you guys think? Is Puff responsible for the loss of Tupac, or is Keefe D a grown man not taking responsibility for his actions? Well, if you ask Diddy, he'll tell you that he had nothing to do with it.
Well, to answer that question, I would say both. Yeah, Keefe D does sound like he's mad at the whole world for not getting what he thinks he deserves, for doing what he said that he done. Those are the facts. You know, he's mad about that. That's what it sounds like. You know, if someone promised you money for doing something, you would expect to get it. He would probably not said nothing, probably kept his mouth closed. But it seems like he's a man that's mad that he didn't receive something that he was promised. He does.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah. Check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect. But
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Regardless of what you believe, the truth is that
It looks like Puffy learned to start wearing glasses. That's why he wears glasses so much now. I realize, yeah. Ever since that interview, his eyes were doing that madness, darting all over the place. Looked like the guy said he was dancing with his eyeballs. Ever since then, it seems like he started wearing sunglasses for a reason, because this guy just don't know how to lie without his eyes doing a madness. That's why he starts wearing all these glasses. It's evident now. Okay, we see you, Diddy. We see you.
that Puff was becoming the boogeyman of the rap game. With Big Jake and now Pac gone, Puff felt like nobody could mess with him. His violent ways were just starting, and that takes us to the next chapter of the story.
You know what, actually? Going back to what P.Diddy was saying about not being paid that check. Why in the hell would you believe that in the first place? Think about it. If someone wrote you a check, whatever, yeah, they wrote you a check, and they said, "Oh, this guy, I gave it to him, and he didn't give it to you." You'd be like, "Okay, then, write me a new one." That one's a bit shit. Checks are really easy to cancel. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you would just say, "Yeah, I'll cancel that check," and yeah, write me a new one. It does seem a little fishy when I think about it. Because why would you accept that as the story? Why would you accept that as, yeah, that's okay? Puff is a bit funny for me. Something's a bit funny for me, sorry, because that just don't make any sense. But anyway, let's go back.
Diddy's strange recruiting tactics. First, he wanted to sign a talented underground rapper by the name of 50 Cent, but 50 recalls what he believes is strange recruiting tactics, like possibly Clive Davis, Andre Harrell activities. West Coast rapper Exhibit had a similar story as well.
I heard you tell a story before about how Puffy, he took you to a club before, and you seen a whole lot of men kissing, and you seen a whole lot of weird stuff going on.
Man, I ain't gonna touch that man. It's been talked about. Shout out to Puffy. Love, you know what I'm saying? All good. We gonna leave that alone, man. That shit put to bed. Done.
Now, these two stories could mean absolutely nothing, and that's why I really didn't even want to include them. But this next part is pretty crazy. The year is 2003 and Diddy is looking to sign new artists. But in this case, an artist comes to his desk looking for a deal. This would be New Jack City actor and R&B singer Christopher Williams. Long story short, Christopher got a deal from Bad Boy, but how it happened is the real story. According to Jaguar Wright, the old rituals came back around. She claims that Diddy's lawyer walked into his office and witnessed Christopher Williams giving him favors.
I think it was like 03. It was a young woman. She's a lawyer. Or at least she was. She used to be an entertainment lawyer. I hope I won't be putting her in danger while she was working at Bad Boy, because she was one of the lead counsels for Bad Boy Entertainment. She witnessed something. She witnessed something that was disturbing to her. But what was really disturbing to her was the conversation that she had with Diddy after. See, Christopher Williams, I don't know. I guess he wanted to sign. I don't know what happened. But Puff was supposed to be giving him a demo deal, and he gave him a demo deal, and I guess it was supposed to turn into an album deal, which that never happened. But this young woman walked in to get approval on some paperwork. See, and when she walked in, the door wasn't locked, so she didn't think twice about just walking in. And when she walked in, she saw Christopher Williams on Puff. And I just don't know. He was like, it's power, see?
Of course, this is all rumors and speculation, so we'll leave.
But you know what, yeah? Didn't that sound very similar to like the kind of situation that Will Smith was in? Very, very similar. Anyway, we
Leave it
move.
at that and move on to the next generation of bad boy. The next generation would be led by Southern rappers Young Jock and 8 Ball and MJG, both of which would go gold instantly, and the genius of Diddy was on display once again. And finally, with these two, there was no rupture between Diddy and his artists. However, just because things went smoothly with them does not mean that was the case with everyone else. So now we focus on another facet of his life. We enter the chapter of relationship abuse and drama of Diddy. So here is where things get really dark and scary. It all began in 1994 when Diddy got in a relationship with Kim Porter. When they first met, Kim was married to a singer named Al B. Sure, and they shared a son named Quincy. Well, once the relationship with Al B. Sure fell apart, Kim got together with Diddy and they had children of their own. Diddy also adopted her son Quincy, and everything looked like peaches and cream from the outside looking in. But internally, the relationship was on and off for years and rocky to say the least. In fact, the people around them say that Diddy was manipulative, controlling, and abusive towards Kim. Apparently, the relationship was terrible, but they stayed together for the sake of the kids. However, enough was enough, and the couple officially went their separate ways in the early 2000s. In any bad relationship, separating is always the healthiest thing to do. Diddy moved on to new relationships, and so did Kim. Kind of. During their separation, Diddy's controlling instincts could not hold back. As we now know, when something is out of his control, he absolutely freaks out. Even though he moved on to other women, he could not handle Kim seeing other men. And this is when the Diddy relationship mania truly starts. According to bad boy artist Mark Curry, Diddy began tapping her phone to know who she was talking to and where she was.
Anytime a man would go out his way to wiretap someone's phone or put taps in their homes just to monitor their conversation, that's a sign of insanity.
Insanity? That's a sign of a very controlling, possessive man. I mean, that's crazy. Wiretap someone's phone or anything like that just to find out what they're doing or who they're talking to is too far, bro. Like, let go in it.
He know everything she doing.
As Diddy allegedly overheard all of her conversations, he was bound to hear something that he didn't like. That day would come, and it would definitely not be pretty. While listening to her conversations, he overheard her flirting with a man named Shakir Stewart. For those who are unfamiliar, Shakir was a respected lawyer turned record label executive, and at this particular time, he was the head of A&R for L.A. Reid's LaFace Records. Well, when Diddy overheard his relations with Kim, he allegedly went ballistic. According to lawsuits, Diddy was so mad that he tracked him down and even assaulted them. First, he targeted Shakir Stewart himself.
That made him so mad at Shakir Stewart when he went to L.A. Reid party, hit him with the chair.
This is bad, but not even the worst part about it. Allegedly, he also broke Kim Porter's nose.
Speaking of Kim Porter, because you knew Kim Porter, is it true that Diddy broke her nose?
Bust her nose, man. So when you see someone doing that, you can imagine everything else they do. They try to make it seem like she slipped and fell. She slipped and fell and broke her nose. Nah, the truth was she slipped and fell and landed on his fist.
If this is true, then that's just flat out terrible. And to make matters worse, it's said that Diddy had a deep hatred for Shakir Stewart even after all of this. Now, I can't prove anything, but something very strange would occur in 2008. On November 1st, 2008, Shakir Stewart was found inside of his Georgia home. According to his friends and family, Shakir was acting paranoid and unusual in the days before his passing.
Every time he called me, he was like real melancholy, subdued.
He was in a kind of state of paranoia. He was indicating that he was being pursued. He was looking out the windows. He was indicating that he was being pursued. He was looking out the windows.
The situation is very mysterious, but I'll leave it up to you guys to determine what you want. Well, now we veer off into another Diddy relationship. In 2005, Diddy found his next bad boy protege. This would be a singer out of New Jersey by the name of Cassie Ventura. Diddy's genius revealed itself once again
Oh boy, the exposure's gonna start now, boy.
As Cassie was a success right off the bat. In 2006, she released hit songs Me and You and Long Way to Go and instantly became a household name. But Diddy saw more in her than just music. In fact, he really wanted to date her. So in 2007, a 38-year-old Diddy and a 20-year-old Cassie entered a relationship. The sweethearts of the industry. In front of the cameras, everything looked glamorous. But behind closed doors, things were worse than you can imagine. According to Cassie, this is when her life became a living hell. First, she claims that Diddy was physically violent. Of course, this is horrible, but the next part is even crazier. She claims that Diddy forced her into relations with other men, all while he watched. What the actual... Well, by 2012, Cassie had enough and decided to take a break from the relationship. As we know from the Kim Porter experience, this could only mean trouble. It's about the year 2012, and here we are in the beautiful Washington, D.C. We're here because Cassie has a studio session with up-and-coming rapper Wale. And before the session, Wale warns his entourage not to stare at Cassie. This is because he knows that Diddy is absolutely nuts for her.
Wale been telling us, like, before we even get to the studio with him and Cassie in the studio, Wale was already telling us, like, man, we better go to the studio with Cassie. Man, Diddy be acting crazy over her. Diddy don't want nobody working around her, so y'all make sure y'all don't look at her too wild or make her feel uncomfortable. Or if you see her security guards and her security guards with her, just prepping us on how crazy Diddy act over her. Like, any guys that's around her in her vicinity, while Diddy not around, he kirks off, he goes off.
So the DC guys make sure to be as respectful as possible because Diddy could walk in the studio at any moment. And of course, Wale makes sure to keep everything professional.
Her and Wale doing what they do in the studio, but they helping each other. It's just professional, y'all. It ain't nothing like, they ain't doing nothing weird. I don't feel no weird vibes. I don't see no flirting or nothing. It's really professional. They making good music.
But here's the thing. Diddy does not want anyone with Cassie in the studio. Instead, he wants them to email their verses.
I guess they wasn't supposed to be there doing it in person together. They were supposed to send it or whatever, but they was trying to keep and do it in person together because they ain't thinking Diddy gonna pop up in here. Like, Diddy probably somewhere living his natural born life. At least that's what they thought.
Cassie's under the impression that Diddy doesn't know where she is, but we know better than that.
Crazy over them girls, like super duper stalking, like he be having private investigators following him. No names can't go around him. He very controlling. I swear to God.
So as you would expect, Diddy crashes the studio session.
But he came in with aggression, they moving. And then I looked, it was like a glance once he got a little bit past me. I'm like, damn, that's Diddy.
Allegedly, Diddy heads straight for Wale and chases him around the studio. And once they get a hold of him, they hold him over the balcony.
It's a balcony in the studio, like an out balcony. You can see over the back. I swear to God, my grandmother, they got Wale over top of his feet. They got him off his feet, hanging.
But hold on a minute. Are you seeing the progression though? All right. At the beginning of these stories, beginning of this video, Diddy was the kind of guy that would be running scared. Now he's chasing guys down, hanging people out windows. Do you see how? But anyway, I'll give my summary at the end of this video, but I feel like this is one of the other reasons why he's not so protected anymore. He started to do more and more crazy things as the years gone on. Before, he would try and do the smart thing, maybe stay away, maybe run away, maybe make sure he's got, protection. Now he's coming down with goons, chasing guys like Wale and hanging them out the window for nothing. Paranoia is a hell of a drug, man. It's a hell of a drug.
Getting off the balcony. Like, he hanging off the balcony. They dangling by his feet.
If this is true, then it's next level insanity. Aunt Glizzy is brave for putting this out there, but I'm sure there's tons of other stories that have never gotten the publicity. Also, let me mention that Wale has never confirmed this story. Well, according to Cassie, these sort of occurrences lasted for years after this incident, and she was finally able to break up with Diddy in October of 2018. This is when the madness ended for her, but this was not the case for everyone else. Just a month after the Cassie breakup, tragic news would come to the Combs family. On November 15, 2018, Kim Porter was found in her Los Angeles home.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said it was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. They have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms.
Now, these are some serious
100%.
claims, so now let's do some investigation. Firstly, the claims that it was initially ruled a homicide have not been proven. However, the fact that it took months to get a ruling is very unordinary. And because of this, a celebrity coroner named Ed Winter was asked to investigate. So, what did Ed Winter find? Well, he didn't find anything, but
That's
not for
why.
the reasons you'd think. Ed would sadly pass away of a heart attack not
Ed
too long after.
is dead.
What do you guys think? Is Diddy powerful enough to take out Kim and Ed Winter? Make of all that what you want, but now we move on to another mysterious case. On May 7th, 2020, Andre Harrell was found in his Hollywood Hills home. The passing was ruled as natural causes as a result of heart failure. Now again, why would this be mysterious?
I'll tell you why, because it sounds like someone's just tying up loose ends. I'm telling you, they've stopped protecting P. Diddy. They've stopped because he's doing wild things. Look at all of what he's doing. If all of this is true and he's connected to all of these things, the people above him protecting him would surely think, you're doing too much, bro. You think you're untouchable. Anyway.
Well, Jaguar has her suspicions.
Andre was writing a book right before he died.
Okay, so she thinks it's another book, but she also thinks that Diddy always had it in for him.
You know, you had it in for Andre because Andre used to make you.
I don't know. What do you guys think about this one? Is Diddy responsible for Andre Harrell? Now guess what? The mysterious cases do not end here. Now we focus on the legendary singer I'll Be Sure. Apparently, Al was working on a documentary of Uptown Records and his own life. Well, one day while he was at work, he mysteriously collapsed.
He fell into a coma. Well, he had a catastrophic medical emergency, but he is back.
I mean, there were so many things going on to the point where they were considering sending me to hospice. What people don't truly...
That sounds very oddly similar to something else P. Diddy's connected to. Jamie Foxx. Doesn't this sound very similar to Jamie Foxx? Anyway. Wow.
You understand, unless you've been through this type of medical journey, is taking for granted breathing, tying your shoes, speaking.
Again, Jaguar suspects that there was foul play.
And I'll Be Sure was working on the documentary of his life. And then he goes into a coma.
I don't know about this one, but again, what do you guys think? It is interesting though, through all the situations, it seems like Diddy is the only one to always make it through. From Pac to Biggie to Shine to Kim Porter to Andre Harrell and to I'll Be Sure. Could all of this be a coincidence, or is it a case of surviving Diddy? You guys tell me which ones you believe. Firstly, is Diddy responsible for the loss of Tupac? Secondly, is it possible that he sacrificed Biggie? Thirdly, did he betray Shine and kick him to the curb when things got sticky? And for the rest of the list, is it because they had information that he didn't want to get out?
The survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books.
And she believes that the monster was created when Diddy was allegedly victimized.
See, what Andre did to you, it could have stopped with him. But you like the power too much. So all you did was emulate what Andre Harrell did to you. See, you were a victim, and then you became a victimizer. And that's what you chose.
After all these years, will Diddy ever pay the price for the things that he allegedly did? Well, probably not, because he is smarter than anyone he ever encounters. Like, I will say this, Diddy is a legitimate genius. If he took an IQ test, I promise you he'd be at the very top. Regardless though, Cassie would finally come forward against him on November 17th, 2023. This is when she came forward with a major class action lawsuit accusing him of all kinds of crazy stories. Everyone was shocked, like, whoa, Diddy is cooked. But within just 24 hours, Diddy settled the lawsuit for an undisclosed amount. Many people estimate that the payment was over 8 figures. Diddy will most likely never go to jail, but not everyone around him can say the same. In particular, after telling everything on YouTube, P.Diddy is now a wanted man.
It's becoming more apparent that Dwayne Keefe D. Davis likely talked himself into his own indictment nearly 3 decades after the murder of Tupac Shakur. We now know more evidence considered by a Clark County grand jury in returning an indictment against Dwayne Keefe D. Davis. It consists mainly of Davis's own words gathered over the past few years from interviews he gave.
I got no reason to lie.
Wow, wow, wow. You'd think that with all the crime in Vegas, they'd have other things to focus on. But in their defense, Keefe D did make it really easy. All they had to do was look on YouTube. But here's the real question. Will Diddy get arrested in the case as well? Given the fact that Keefe did say that Diddy put $1 million on Tupac's head, it's definitely possible. However, he may be saved by Eric Von Zip's decision to keep the money. Personally, I can't see him getting arrested, but only time will tell.
And you think Eric Von Zip kept that money and P.Diddy doesn't know about it? Oh, come on now. Anyway.
Oh, this might be my favorite video that I've ever made, and I hope you guys feel the same way too. So if you want...
Oh. Boy, that was a lot. Wow, guys, that was a lot to digest. And I will say, I do shout out to Swamp Stories again. Great video, well put together. But I will have to say this, I do feel that there was a couple of suspected victims that were left out. Number one being Jamie Foxx, very similar case to the other guy in the story. Orlando Brown, we've all heard what he's had to say about what P. Diddy gave him. That gosh. Well, that's how he put it anyway. Those ain't my words. Those are his. And there's even been rumors about Justin Bieber. Now, I know that Usher was the one that discovered him, so hopefully, you know, that wasn't like him carrying on that sick induction ritual. So, you know, who knows? Who knows what's happened there? But these are all rumors at the end of the day, guys. So, you know what? You guys give me your comments and your concerns in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the stories and what you think about P. Diddy. But also, please like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
Hot like 100. Hello. Loading, track with the lyrics like I'm bowling. Keep pushing on, keep rolling. And when I listen, but I told him one more time, yo.